ASEAN is located to the east of the Indian Ocean and west of the Pacific Ocean. It lies at the center of the vital sea lane of communication that links both the Indian and Pacific Oceans, including the South China Sea's disputed territory. Furthermore, the Malacca Strait, which is one of the busiest waterways, bisects ASEAN and connects both the oceans, making the region strategically really vital. This has been the reason why historically China has tried to gain control over the region. Now Xi Jinping's thirst to gain absolute control over China and its people has gone overboard. Beijing, under his direction, has been attempting to chip away the sovereignty of the ASEAN member nations, and it is also employing shrewd diplomatic policies to gain absolute influence over the region. Hi and welcome. This is TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical arm of the TFI Media Group. I am Siddharth, your host, and in this video, I will tell you how China has devised an evil plan to divide ASEAN into two warring factions and hold sway over the region. Let's begin. Since its start in 1967 until today, ASEAN has grown to heights that few could have dreamt of. If the rise of China as an economic behemoth fascinates you, then ASEAN's trajectory is no less fascinating. However, the organization has been facing a lot of issues in recent times. The coronavirus pandemic-led economic decline has increased the country-wise economic disparity among the member nations. In addition to this, the current civil war situation in Myanmar and the increasing difficulty in reaching consensus regarding its participation in ASEAN forums have brought a credible threat to the stability of ASEAN. As per reports, Myanmar military chief has been banned from ASEAN summits. All this while, its larger neighbor China has been consistently increasing its sway over the region as well as its control. Be it the Belt and Road Initiative, debt trap, creating artificial islands in the South China Sea, infringing on the literal territories of ASEAN member countries, and the list goes on and on. The Mekong countries are less well-to-do and have way less GDP when compared to the island economies like Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines. Now, the next chair of ASEAN will be Cambodia, a de facto lackey of China. With this, Beijing is going to increase the mistrust by expanding economic, social, and territorial ruptures within the bloc, ultimately forcing it into two warring factions. These divisions will make it easier for the CCP to manage the region for its benefit. Now, even in the face of CCP's aggressive posturing and in some cases single-handedly claiming territories and even seas, there have been mixed reactions among ASEAN nations. While time and again leaders of Quad in different settings called for the importance of ASEAN's centrality in the Indo-Pacific and increase their respective nations' engagement with the Southeast Asian nations, ASEAN has only used it as security leverage to increase its business with China. Recently, during the bloc's meeting with Chinese Premier Li Keqiang on Tuesday, the Prime Ministers of Malaysia and Singapore expressed their willingness to attend the November summit. And this came at a time when China is chipping away the sovereignty of the ASEAN member nations and its economic policies are hurting the markets even in Singapore. The geopolitical importance of ASEAN is best summed up by the following quote: "The road to the dominance of Indo-Pacific goes through Southeast Asia, making it the factor for dominating Asia in the 18th century. The fact that the region geographically regulates trade to and from the whole of East Asia makes it a region worth controlling for China. A divided ASEAN, on the other hand, becomes a worthy prospect for better control from Beijing. Some of the member nations realize this, like the Philippines, but remain helpless. Going ahead, China is going to utilize these differences to divide the grouping into its weaker subsets. The basic algorithm followed by the CCP can be loosely defined as follows. First, join the organization. Second, foster bilateral relations with the member countries. Third, utilize the economic differentials and through debt diplomacy, make some of the member countries sing the same tune. Fourth, then make these weaker countries subservient to Beijing's hegemony, which is kowtowing for prosperity and security. Fifth, transform the regional grouping into an outpost of and a part of the Chinese world order. Based on this algorithm, ASEAN is in currently the fourth stage, with Laos and Cambodia now kowtowing to the communist nation. In addition to this, the larger economic disparity in the region can make other member nations join the club of Laos and Cambodia. And now, Cambodia is scheduled to lead the organization at a time when the organization is finding it difficult to hold itself together. Going ahead, we can expect a more involved China via Cambodia working to bifurcate the organization by feeding the flames of divided opinions and differing interests into two warring factions.